What do you say we get this party started? I've been subscribed to you for about 2 years. Two years, Horsaholics. Thank you. You guys should be able to hear me better now. I'm doing this on the laptop instead of my little tablet. That's what I've been using. Sean, yes. How do? Minions, howdy. Now, as per suggestion by Willie, I was going to let you guys know what is coming up. Hi, RT. Or should I say, Bryce, what's happening? I'll catch up with the hellos with everybody here in just a minute. Let me get the intro out here real quick. Willie suggested that I let you guys know what's going to be coming up, what I'm going to be doing, and how my schedule is going to be going and stuff like that. And then open the floor to you guys for question and answers in a general BS session. So what's going on? First things first is Sean Rumschlag, who's watching the live stream. His 2 tractors are going to get done first and foremost. After they are done, I have 5 chainsaws that you guys saw that I have to do fuel lines and carb cleans on. Once I get those done, then I'll be taking care of some previously scheduled repairs that are going to be coming in just little by little. But my hours are going to be pretty specific. I'm going to stop at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 2 hours a day, are going to be devoted and dedicated to my own projects. I have a lot of them that have been put on the back burner in years past, so I'm going to start working on my own stuff as well after 3 p.m. on every day, which include the GL1000. I've got timing belts, radiator hoses, valve timing to do. I've got a noise in the clutch basket that I need to address, just a number of things like that. So before I put new tires on it, go through the brakes, bleed all the brakes off, do all the general first-time owner maintenance stuff on it to make sure that it's going to be safe with Lisa in the back seat. I did take the bike for a ride the other day. Ride's awesome. It is so long geared that unless I'm doing 60 or 65, there's no sense in getting in 5th gear. Now, let me get caught up with the hellos. Bryce, hello. Matthew, howdy. Cooter, yo. Wild Bill, great to see you. Danny, good evening here. David, good to see you. Horseaholics, that's my problem too. I have too many projects. I also have a couple things I want to get done on Calamity before I sell Calamity, just so that the owner can go ahead and hop in it and drive it right away. I just need to seal up the radiator, put a real quick rebuild kit in the carburetor, and there was one more thing. What was it? Oh, it doesn't really matter. Howdy, George. Great to see you. Then I've got some woodworking projects I've got to take care of. My front porch columns are all but fallen down. I've got steel columns holding my front porch up. I've got to get those done. What else is going on as far as projects go? I've got some repairs inside the house to do. A lot of things have gotten neglected over the past few years. Wolf's Head, great to see you. And that only took up 4 minutes of the chat, so I'm going to give it to you guys. Start popping those questions in. But before you do, for those of you who just showed up, others already know, Lisa is here. She's watching. Give her a big howdy hello and smash that thumbs up button for Lisa for me. Bryce, I know I heard a lot of people got snow. I'm just watching the comments flow by. Lisa's back home. She's watching all the comments come in. So she's the only reason anybody comes here. Nobody comes here to see me. They just want to say hi to Lisa so that her little emoticon pops up so they can see how pretty she is and be jealous. Yeah, it's supposed to be winter or spring, but we're not getting a lot of it. Potter, getting a lot of snow here in west central Wisconsin. Yeah, it got really cold here today. Well, when I say really cold, cold for this time of year was I think Lisa and I, it was a high of 42 or something like that. The rain was cold. It was not pleasant. How George is asking how have I been feeling. Lisa and I are a pair. I got to tell you. I woke up this morning, my back was just killing. She woke up, her back was sore. My neck is pretty sore. It's just from sleeping, guys. So it's just a matter of. Thanks, Sir Rooney. I don't know whether I should blush or block you from watching. It's kind of creepy. I'm just kidding. I'm a close and mean close second. All right, that's funny. Are you going to come out this way, Brian? Horseholics here in Michigan. The high for today was only 36. Yeah. 2 feet of snow and it's still snowing. Good night. I think this weather's just insanity. It is. It's crazy. So is the audio better now, guys? I finally figured out how to live stream on a real computer instead of having to use my silly little tablet that has a terrible microphone. May 16th, audio is good. Oh, yeah. Duh. Yeah, here in a month. We'll see you at the swap meet. Joe. My good friend Joe. Guys, I'll tell you a quick little something about Joe. He is one of the most generous people, the most supportive people I believe I've ever met on my channel. He's just absolutely incredible. We've become fast friends. Great, great, great man. So, round of hellos for Joe, please. Audio's a lot better. You don't have to hold your phone to your ear. Yeah, if you're using your cell phone to stream. Shalano, Wisconsin. Yep. All right, guys, this may seem a little weird, but I got a hangnail, so I'm going to clip it while I'm talking to you guys. Sounds good, Bryce. Oh, I'm glad that she liked it. I really am. I got to look down for a minute and get this hangnail. I was catching my socks earlier. All right. I know. It's gross. Zippo's trimming his toenails on a live stream. That'll get me a lot of likes, won't it? All right. All set. Oh, 40 here in the south, 73 Tuesday. Can't get here fast enough. I hear you, Danny. Yeah, you just commented that the temperatures were, yeah, temperatures are nuts. Yeah, Willie, are you saying hello to Joe upside down? I can't turn upside down like that. I'll tell you something about being on the laptop, though, is that I can actually get in there and say hi to myself. Oops. Kind of goofy, isn't it? I'm learning, guys. I'm not the tech guru. I mean, I can work on computers, but that's about the extent. Corey H. Think of be doing another tractor restoration anytime soon. Corey, I've only done one tractor restoration. One in all the years that I've had tractors. I do custom tractors. I do custom tractors, but I have not done any tractor restoration other than the Haas 1970 3212V. Wow, that's awesome, Bryce. Have I done any work in the garden yet? George, no, I haven't. The weather just is not cooperating. Roger, you made it. Fantastic to see you here. Just getting her ready for sale, Sean. She is not advertised yet for sale. 1978 Jeep CJ5, 304 V8 factory, 304 V8. Jonathan, what's happening? It is so great to see you here. How are things going? Jonathan W. in the house. Paul, I'm going to keep the tractor videos coming just as often as there's tractors in the shop and the small engine repairs too. CJ8. Wow, I'd like to have a scrambler. When I do a Zippo stack, do I run mufflers or no? I do a little bit of trickery inside the stack so it doesn't look like there's a muffler, but yes. You agree with Paul. Potter agrees with Paul. I need to find Paul. Paul Mott, let me track the. Oh, yeah, they would. I just commented on it. Oh, I know, Roger. It did the same thing here. We had 2 days, one day mid 70s, next day high 70s. I was actually sweating, and then right back down to cold. It's aggravating. Is that how you do it, Willie? Rain and Nader watches there. Now, how many of you guys have watched Jonathan's videos? Gotta go watch Jonathan's videos. 2 inches of rain coming. I don't know how, Lisa, maybe you can look it up while we're talking here. I don't know how many inches of rain we've gotten over this weekend. It's been kind of just a steady mist, not near as bad as it was, last weekend? Oxday scored a Honda GX 270. $5, Roger? Really? I don't think even a Zippo deal can be that good. $5. Is it real bad? It's amazing. They're in great shape. Got about 30. I've seen some pictures of 19. Parents are not too happy at that. The cars stay outside. That's a nice thing about having my own place here, Corey, is that I don't, I put what I want where I want, more or less. And Miss Zippo said that I could even have a man cave. So hopefully the gas is old enough that it doesn't have. Okay, thank you, sweetie, for checking. Um, hopefully the gas is old enough that there's no ethanol in it, Roger. I'd rather clean varnish out than oxidization. Exactly right, Willie. 2 lawnmowers, 1250. Push mowers, I assume, Roger. Well, you can't beat that. When are you getting married? Lisa and I are absolutely, totally, and completely and perfectly content in our lives being committed to one another without the confines at the moment of a piece of paper. We love one another unconditionally, so we don't need the piece of paper. Need no hanging. Well, that's awesome. Did I word that okay, sweetie? Lisa? Yes. And we talked about it, so. But a lot of you guys know Lisa and I have known one another for 14 years. We've been good friends. I need to go down and check the John Deere out, don't I, Mama Sue? Hey guys, say hi to Mama Sue. She's in the house. Is it still in the trailer down there? I got to get the King Midgets done first, Mom. I've got till the 10th to get the midgets done. So, and we don't need to, because you're gonna take the John Deere to Portland for the show. So we've got some time on that. Mama Sue, Ozengay Simplicity is Brian Ozengay from Ohio. I've got just all kinds of family in here. I got my brother Brian from Ohio in here. I got Mama Sue, who lives about 8 houses down that way. I've got my woman's in here watching. She's watching on the big screen, so my head's probably this big. Mama Sue, IRT mechanic, is Bryce. I'll bring down the shirt, show you the shirt that he made for me. In fact, I'll show you the shirt now that he had made for me and sent to me. Hang on. And he said he's going to make a shirt for Lisa as well. See right here, this is his logo. It's Crid. And then over here on this side, Zippo. And there's the whole thing. It's a mechanic shirt. It's really cool. I have to try and come out to the Portland show from Western PA, so it's quite a drive. Well, Western PA is not as bad as Eastern PA. I'm telling you, that's a long state. Horseaholics, when you get there, be sure to look me up. I'm there on North Street. It is a nice shirt. You wish you could be my apprentice. You know, I've not taken an apprentice on. Okay, I won't quote you. You see that, Lisa? I've never had an apprentice. How about that? I mean, I've had a number of people come in and, but it'd be nice. It'd give me a lot of, give me a reprieve. They're all by you. Jonathan, you still with us? Bryce, I built a Trader just for fun. I built it for fun. I got the rolling chassis from Tom Galloway and then went through and put my personal touch on the whole thing. Now, Jonathan, I want to make sure that I'm talking to the right person here. You're doing the little Triumph build, right? The drag car? Brother, if I could reach through this screen and shake your hand, you are my kind of man. I've commented on your channel before, and you and I are cut from the same cloth. I absolutely love you, man. I just wanted to let you know that. Personal, one-on-one. Last time you went to the Portland show in the summertime, it was a swamp. Brian and I went. Yes, I know it features Alice this year. Yeah, I'm poor too. Poor too. Brian and I went to Portland show. How many years ago was it, Brian? This will be the fourth. Was 4 years ago. It was a bad swamp. Nobody was there. It was just a mess, just an absolute mess. It was a wreck. But we had fun. Yeah, I live day by day, Jonathan, and I love every minute of it. Paul has a Big Ten garden tractor with a small leak in the rear end. Tried tightening all the bolts, but still leaks a bit. What do I recommend? It's coming from your axle seals. The axle seals are available. Yeah, and you in the cart, Brian, right? Um, it's the axle seals. What happens is it comes out around the axle tube, drips down, and comes back, and then it'll come down the lowest point on the transmission. They're not difficult to change at all. Bruce Zippo and Musty One, y'all have lots of mechanical knowledge. We do. So does Jonathan. You ought to see what he's doing with that Triumph build. That's going to be, yeah. There you go, George. That's going to be one. I he's I, I want to see it done. I mean, that's just a really, really cool build. Really enjoying that. And the 1 day builds that Jonathan does with the rollover when they replace that entire cab in a day. He pulls together all of his friends. Everybody gets in there and they just flat out get the job done. I think that's awesome. And getting your son involved in everything that you're doing, Jonathan, also is really cool. Pulling the cab off the box truck and all that. Yeah. Fantastic. I'll quit talking you up now. Y'all just go watch Jonathan W.'s videos. Well worth watching. Absolutely. I got the small engines in my back pocket. He's got all the bigger stuff. You know, you change or grow up a lot when you build a tractor to start NASCAR style and then plug the key back in because the annoying factor outweighs the cool. Hi, Zippo. I think your videos are very informative, interesting. Thank you for what you're doing. My son and I are restoring a Simplicity 725 that sat in a barn for 30 years. Those are actually the best kind to get a hold of, are ones that have sat for a very long time. And I've got a 3-part series on what to look for when buying, which are also really good aids in what to look at when you're going through and tuning everything up and getting everything in good shape. Boo! You ready to play pool, buddy? Garden tractors and muscle cars, there's nothing like either one of them. I've had them both. I like them both. I used to restore. Bob, you made it. Hey, gang. Say hi to Bob. Horseaholics, your B112, was it a hydro, a standard, or a variable drive? Do you remember? Did you have just a lever on one side that you push to go forward and backward, or did you have to shift gears? I'm rusty too, and I've even got a pool table in my own house, boo. A lot of you guys also know double wide repairs. Bob, variable drive gear shift. That's identical to my 3212V. Mine just has orange and white clothes on instead of the yellow. Very good tractors, very stout. Yeah, off grid. Yep. To this day, I still think an open header Briggs is dang close to a small block Chevy. I'll tell you what, Bryce, I really, really love the sounds of the opposed twin Briggs. Doing a video on it, Bob? Ouch. That's not good, Horseaholics. But the nice thing is, you can swap. Yes, they are, Bryce. You can swap transmissions out in those pretty quick. But if you ever have to split one in half, always put the left, as you're sitting on it, you put the left hub down on the ground, you split the case, pop the right side up off. 712 shuttle. Horseaholics, if you email me on, or not email me, but contact me on Facebook, Zippo Varga on Facebook, I can send you a shuttle manual and it will tell you how to dial them in, because when they get out of adjustment, they're just a bear. Oh, okay. Yeah, when and a custom build, Bob, I'm always afraid of those because you don't know how good the person was that was doing the custom work. Ah, yeah, really tight spaces. What's the deal with the Simplicity Very drive? Bryce, they are also kind of finicky like the shuttle drives. Um, just the way that they have to be adjusted is pretty particular. And the books, I've got the repair books in digital format that I can send to you. Oh, I don't blame you. If you can't get to it with your fingers, you can't get to it with a camera, Bob. That would be cool, Bob, seeing little Bobby riding it. Give the little man a hug for me too, if you would, please. Oh, right on. That's nice, Horseholics. I'm a GM guy, but there's nothing wrong with a good stout Mopar. You paid $20 for it. The right wheel's worth $20 for it, Mike. You did very well. Be sure you don't dry crank the engine if you've not done anything with the engine yet. Be sure to lube the inside of the engine really well first. Oh, I bet it does. 400 horse 360. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, what's the difference? Excuse me. Bryce is asking, IRT mechanic is asking, what's the difference between a shuttle and a variable? The standard transmission is just that: push in the clutch, shift, select the gear, let the clutch out, and go. A variable drive transmission is the same: push in the clutch, select the gear, let the clutch out, and off you go. But you also have a lever and two pulleys that open and close like this with a wide belt. And as you move the lever forward, you go faster; move it backwards, you go slower in each individual gear. So you essentially, what the way they say it is that you have 21 forward speeds and 7 reverse speeds. It's just a progressive type of thing, kind of like a CVT clutch on a mini bike or something like that. The shuttle uses a series of multiple belts and pulleys. You have 4 forward gears. You move the lever forward to go forward, back to go in reverse in any of the 4 gears. So you essentially have infinite speed that the tractor is capable of in any gear, just using the one lever forward and backward. Yes, I watch 805 Road King. Yeah, Brody and I are pretty good friends. We've been friends for years. Harold, thank you for asking. Does that help? Does it help, Bryce? Bob, if you do get little Bobby on that custom machine, I'd like to see the video. And Bob, have you thought any more about doing a live stream of your own? If you have Chrome on a laptop, you don't have to do anything except click go live stream. I just want to let you guys know, I have to send my woman home to do my live stream. All right, that's not true. She had to go home and do some stuff, but it doesn't mean I don't miss her. I wasn't sure if it was going to be for me or not, Bob, and I don't know, it's fun, and I really like interacting with everybody. Oh, I know we're being sappy. Deal with it. John, do you have a time? Jonathan, do you have a timeline on when you estimate the Triumph to be done? How's the state of my lighter collection? I have one section of my lighter case um, about 2/3 full. The other side is awaiting. Yes, Matthew. Yes, I prefer the Vickers Hydros over the Sunstrands, the later models. Uh, the only reason is the Sunstrands tend to do a lot of creeping, and but it's six of one, half a dozen of another. Some people prefer. No, so busy doing toes, can't predict the time. A couple months, you hope. I hope so too. I'd like to see you be able to run it down the track this season. Of course, you got longer seasons down there where you're at, so chances are probably pretty good you'll be able to run it down the track. That'll be really neat to see. And also, that little tractor you made your grandson out of that fire pit was really, really cool. Or not the fire pit, but the fireplace. Using license plates, Bob, to make a light. You know, I could probably do something like that in the billiards room. That'd be neat. Well, horseaholics, they're still out there, so you can probably find one. Matthew, I didn't quite finish. I apologize. I'm going to ignore the comments for a second and finish for Matthew here. The Vickers Hydro, the one caveat that it has is that you cannot connect an external hydro port in order to have a hydro lift. Any of the Vickers equipped tractors that you want a power lift on would have to be an electric lift. That's where the Sunstrand does shine over the Vickers. The Sunstrand does have ports that you can just put a proportioning valve in, put a ram in, and have a hydro lift on the Sunstrand equipped tractors. So there's a little bit more information for you, Matthew. Okay, Mike the tractor guy. The engine had a stuck exhaust valve. Cylinder sleeve looks great. Drained the old oil. Picked up the new tires and other miscellaneous parts. Just waiting for the crap weather to break so we can paint. I hear you there. Your color is Duplicolor DE1607, Mike. That is as close to a perfect match. You don't have to go buy the Alice Chalmers colored paint. It is Chevy engine enamel. There are two. There's DE1620, DE1607. You want DE1607 Duplicolor. And lay a thin coat down, tack, unless you're getting a mix. And if you're getting a mix, you can have it done in the Chevy engine orange. Because if you get an Alice Chalmers color to match the orange, it's not going to match. Okay, I've got some catching up. Let's get it here. Hang on. You're welcome, Matthew. Horseaholics, the B12 ran really good. It was all original, it was in great shape. You can find others. Willie Cook noted. Okay. What's my opinion on the 7790 diesel? I had a Deutz diesel, two-cylinder Lombardini. If they're in good shape when you get them, they're fantastic. But parts are now supplied by Kohler, and they're silly expensive, but they're bulletproof. If you can get it to start, it will run forever. I have a B112 seat pan hanging from my rafters in the shop, Horseaholics, that is in really nice shape. Our Case 444 tractor is good and inexpensive to fix, I'm assuming you're asking, off-grid. Inexpensive to fix. It depends on how handy you are. And that's pretty much my standard response. If you're wanting to go new old stock parts, a lot of times used parts that you can inspect and make sure are in good shape before purchasing, or have a contract with the ability to return them for a full refund if they're not in good enough shape, is your better bet to go, rather than trying to find new parts because they're an old defunct machine. But Case 444 tractors are quite collectible. So are they worth it to fix? I would say yes. Tyler, I hope that was enough info on the diesels. If you've got one, and then something else, the 7790 diesels are powered by two-cylinder 18 horsepower Lombardini diesel. It's an Italian-made diesel. The transmission is a Sunstrand, but it is a bigger transmission than you would find in, say, a 712 with a Sunstrand, something along those lines. Got some really good questions here tonight. I appreciate them. It's great. You guys are really making my brain work. Letha, you won't come over here and rub my neck. Horseaholics, I'd like to have a 70 Monte Carlo 454 SS. Little lesser known muscle car, just because I like different stuff. I'm glad you liked it off grid. I'm glad, and I hope it helps. I like my tractors. National riding reel mowers, no. We do have some groundskeepers out around the area, golf courses that do have them, but they maintain them their self. Yes, they are gas guzzlers, but they're very torquey motors. Mr. Barron, have I had one come into the shop? No. Would I want to time or sharpen the reels? No. I hear that they're a nightmare, but once they're done right, they're great. But no, I have not personally had my hands on any. The only kind of reel mowers that I've ever had my hands on are the kind that you, Bryce, 100%, unequivocally, absolutely, yes, with a 6-speed and a live axle. Belt driven, of course. That'd be something that Jonathan, I think, could get into, making a garden tractor with a Harley motor. Absolutely, it would be. Vortec 454. GBI 350. Willie, I'd be game for it. I'd love to have a 8990 454 SS. Absolutely. 4211s and 4212s, at the time that they were being manufactured, they were competing with the Chinese market. So they were made out of stamped steel and plastic. My opinion on them is the best part about them was that they were Briggs powered. They had a peerless transmission. I did a John Deere repair where I repaired the transmission in a John Deere in a series. As long as you take care of those peerless transmissions, you can get a lot of life out of them, but you don't want to tow with them. You don't want to beat them hard and drop the clutch on them and stuff like that. Also, the bentonite grease / clay crap that they put inside of them is really, really, really crappy stuff. You want to cut it with some diesel fuel. If you don't want to split the case apart, you at least want to drill a hole, keep a vacuum near your drill when you're drilling the hole, and drill a hole big enough so that you can introduce some diesel fuel in there and just go out and just ride it until the transmission gets warm to help loosen some of that bentonite up and lubricate everything. At that point, since these transmissions are not sealed, they will leak some of that diesel fluid or fuel out of the ends of the axles and out of the brake hub and stuff like that. Why not use grease, Willie? If you're just trying to thin out the bentonite that's in there, just cut it with diesel. If you are pulling the case apart, clean all of the bentonite out, go ahead and change over to a nice light grease. Mike, you're welcome. Yeah, don't use the Alice paint. Oh, it sounds like they would, Mike. That's great. 4212 just for the plow is a pain. To use moving dirt hydro lift is the way to go. Zippo looking for an ignition key switch for a Homelight T10 garden tractor with electric lift and front electric PTO. All right, your key switch is just going to be a standard 5-pin. All it needs to do is have one accessory, one power coming in, one ground going out, one power going out to the starter solenoid. And yeah, just standard 5-pin. But you do have to time them and make sure that you're putting your wires back on in the correct order of your old key switch. If you don't have your old key switch, there are a ton of images out there on just Google riding mower key switch, and you should be able to easily find a key switch that will work for you. 7-pin? Okay. Well, the same thing, Potter. You can then search for the 7-pin, but what you have to just make sure that when you look at the back of the plug, your existing plug is going to have some letters stamped. You'll have an M, an S, an L, G, and things like that around it. You'll just want to make sure that the new one that you get matches that. If you have any kind of a small engine dealer around you, or a riding mower repair shop or something like that, you can take your old switch in and they can match it up for you. I would say that would be your best bet if you're not sure. Horseaholics, yeah. I don't mind the Kawasaki water cooled or the Kohler powered, but I don't like the Onan powered just because you can't get parts. RT, what are my thoughts on riding a tractor with a winch? Rigging a tractor with, I'm all for it. Ugly Alice is going to be getting a 1,200-pound Harbor Freight winch. Best fuel stabilizer on the market. I'm rebuilding carburetors on a new to me. It's all a matter of opinion, Blues Freak. My personal opinion is Stabil, that is formulated for small engines. It is a 360-degree protection that protects the airspace as well as the fuel from moisture contamination. Yeah, the wires will go to the switches for your front PTO and your lift. I don't know the Harbor Freight part number for it. It is one of the older styles without the wireless remote. Mine is a corded remote. I picked it up off Craigslist, brand new, off a guy for $40 about 3 years ago. So you want to try to find one. And so are Briggs Intex, Horseaholic. They push valve seats out and crash valve trains all the time. Lisa, you still with me? And the problem with Onan, again, I mean, Onans are great motors, and if you take care of them, they're going to last you, but you can't get parts. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, you don't want the wireless remote. They do have kits that you can get aftermarket to make it a wired winch. If you're going to get a Briggs and you can afford it, get a Vanguard. I can't say it enough. What's on the wall behind me? Right here? This? Or that? Which one, Blues? This is a tapestry for my, that I pointed to two things. Okay, I'll just tell you what both are. This is my being alive for 50-year tapestry. It's got photos of a lot of the different times of my life up here from the time I became borned up to 50. And then back here behind me is a Henry lever action 22 short, long, and long rifle on a piece of walnut that from a tree that I cut down. And then above it, right there, is a blacksmithed railroad tie nail that's been turned into a cross. 5.5 horse overhead valve, does not like to start in the winter. Okay, Horseaholics. So it's a vertical shaft. Um, a lot of times it's just because of the cold. If you have a way to heat the motor up, even with just a hair dryer, heat it up a little bit, it'll like to start a lot more readily. Mr. Willie, are the Briggs 10 to 16 head gaskets the same, or do they change after 12? You want 12 to 16 horsepower. 12 to 16 horsepower. The 10, the jug is a little bit small on those head gaskets. Will they work? Yeah, but you'll smack the head gasket the first time it starts, like the tractor guy. Thought on Startron enzyme fuel treatment. It it works. It works well. A lot of people can't get the Startron enzyme fuel treatment in their area. And I even have a problem getting the Stabil small engine treatment 360 in my area. And it's great to have you out there, Mike. Us small engine guys, we got to stick together. Bryce, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, and it bent the push rods with what appears to be heat fatigue, but it dropped the seat before. Okay. Yeah, when you drop the seat, you crash. Yeah, you'll crash everything. They're a pain. And what causes that initially is the engines don't get cleaned often enough underneath the blower housing. Oh, it did not drop the seat. Okay. But you need to make sure that you keep the fins clean because the engines will overheat, and when they overheat, they will drop the seat. You bet, Matthew. Yeah, I've got a big stack of them too because that's mostly what I use. You can use a 12 to 16 horse head gasket on a 10, but you can't go the other way. It's a horizontal shaft in overhead valve, horizontals. Hmm. I'd like to see that. I mean, I'm sure they may. I just haven't seen one. Yeah, and the valves are a little bit different as well, Matthew. 10 horse to 12 horse, they're a little bit bigger on the 12 horse. So the gasket compensates for that, but they are still big enough on the 10 horse gaskets to work on a 12. But I wouldn't go cutting a 10 horse gasket in order to make it fit a 12 to 16. They're a dime a dozen. Now, there's two different kinds of composites on those head gaskets. One's a lead type where 196 inch pounds is your torque specs, by the way, Matthew. 196 inch pounds. When you compress that head gasket the first time with that lead type head gasket, that's it. It's done. You have to replace it with another one. There is a tin type head gasket that is reusable. You can reuse that head gasket as many times as you want. And what eventually happens is the inner lining between the two tin plates ends up blowing out. But they'll last a lot longer. Bryce, I'm glad that you didn't drop a seat because that would have made a mess. How my Honda's doing? Have I been out riding yet? Blues Freak. I went up and saw Lisa at work Friday on Big Bill, which is what I say, sweetie. Is I rode it 44 miles that day, but it's a 19-mile one way up to her work. Did fantastic. It was really, really windy out, but it did fantastic. And I took Little Billy out just real quick uptown and back just to fill the tank. It's doing great. Little CM185T, I started up and rode it around a little bit. It's doing really well. The new GL1000, I rode 4.7 miles just to give it a little shakedown and get it up to engine temp to make sure that the fan and thermostat and everything was doing what it was supposed to do. Thank you for asking, Blue Street. I've not actually been out riding yet. I've just one little quick trip up north and back, and that was about it. 23 did. Matthew is asking 23 diff. Bleh. Lisa had this problem the other day when we were getting pizza. I couldn't talk. She sounded like an alien. 23D, different than a 10 horsepower 2. Yes. It's okay, Matthew. We don't learn unless we ask questions. And I don't, it's fine that we've been on for 50 minutes since the questions are still rolling in. 23D is kind of the bastard child of Briggs. It was a short-lived motor. There are a lot of differences from the 23D to the 10 horsepower. They were transitioning from their horseshoe coils over to a more traditional looking coil. There were just a lot of little differences and changes that they made that were not good for that motor. That's why it was a short-lived motor, and they came out with the 10 horsepower totally revamped shortly thereafter. So Matthew, if you have a 23D, hit me up on either Facebook or my Gmail, which is zippovarga@gmail.com. I can tell you all the differences there. I mean, it's a long list. It's Zippo time. Hi, Donald. Yeah, I've been on here for quite a while tonight. Got a really good turnout tonight. Bryce, crack me up. You're welcome, Matthew. Yeah, there's a lot of differences with them. I hoard 23Ds because when they go out, those dual balance gears are nice, except for when you're trying to squeeze a 12 horsepower into a spot that used to have a 10 horsepower without the balance gears on the nose cone, and you got to cut parts up in order to get them to fit. You see that I work on the deers. What are my thoughts on the 110s and the 317? I work on deers when they come in, but primarily I work on Alice Chalmers and Simplicities and later model riding motors. Oh, okay. All right, Bryce. Gotcha. That's what you're exactly right, Willie, because no front balance gears. I just have a balance gear underneath the flywheel. Good to see you too, Gary. Thank you for stopping in. It's picking up. My thoughts on the 110s. The 110s, I mean, they were the ones that started it out, way back in the 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Kohler powered. They used to be powered by the cast iron Kohlers. The older ones, the old round fenders, I love them. I think they're great. The 317, I'm not super familiar with. I've only had one or two come in, and they were just in for general maintenance, so I don't really have an opinion on them, Mike. Thanks for asking. I heard that, Bryce, I hoard the 23Ds because of the issues that they're prone to having. Oftentimes will damage the blocks, and in damaging the blocks, I hoard the blocks because a lot of people want to go back to in their 1964 early B10s and Simplicity Landlords. They want the original 23D engines put back in them, so I hoard them to make sure that I've always got 23Ds available. In fact, I was just asked for one over the weekend. That's why I hoard them. So whenever they come available, I grab them up. They are still usable, but I get them before they blow up. What happens is the connecting rods will snap in half because people will start them after they've sat dry for 20 or so, 20, 30 years. And if they don't have actual bearings, they just have aluminum caps on either end, and both of those aluminum caps are your bearings. So if they don't go in and pre-oil the engine before they try resurrecting an engine that's been sitting for a long time, they will gull the journals. They'll gull the connecting rod journal. They will gull the bearing cap journals. And if they do that, the engine is going to blow its connecting rod. When it blows its connecting rod, there's a baffle inside the block that's made out of cast iron. It's an integral part of the block. You will always take that little baffle out. You can rebuild the engine, put it back together, and it'll run great. But your oil breather is what that baffle is there for, is to keep your crankcase vent from having raw oil getting splashed up into it. That little baffle in there protects the oil from getting up in there. And so if you blow up a 23D and that is gone, you're going to blow as much oil out as you are putting in. So That's why I poured the 23Ds. I get blocks before they blow, get them rebuilt to within specs, and make sure that they're good to go so that people can let them sit for 20 years, start them up dry, and blow them up anyway. Very good, Matthew. I just took 2 more in, and I've got 3 ready to go. So proper procedure for pre-oiling. IRT mechanic Bryce. I do have a video on what to do before trying to start a stored engine. Check through my videos if you don't find it. All you really have to do is just take the crankshaft end bearing cover off, and you're not going to hurt anything by doing it. Nothing's going to come loose. That's all that's coming off is just that bearing cover. Oil the inside of that engine thoroughly and carefully rotate it over by hand 3 or 4 times. A little bit of transmission fluid down in the spark plug hole, and also pull the valve breather cover off, which is right behind the carburetor, and some drops of oil in the valve guides and on your valve stems and your tappets, which ride coming up into the bottom of the block. And just oil everything really well before ever trying to rotate the engine over. I mean, a Horseaholics, I mow with a 54-year-old ride mower or garden tractor, Ugly Alice. I'd much prefer it. Most beautiful mowing machine there is. All right, gang, we have been on for 56 minutes. It's been a very long one this time, and all the questions have just been fantastic. Did I ever get my Craftsman GT5000 running? No, but I did sell it and for somebody who needed the transmission. Cooter, Zippo, most but not all of this is above my knowledge, but I'm loving the heck out of listening to you. I even understand some of it. Cooter, hang in there. I'll learn you. I'll learn you. Pre-MTD, Horseaholics, that's great. Brian, brother, we will see you. One built by IH, yes, you're right, Horseaholics, and they're shaft driven, which I like about them too. All right, gang, thank you all very, very much. It's been a long one. I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to bail on you. I've been on for about an hour. I've had everybody going. Jonathan, again, thank you for stopping by. Everybody, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. It's a fantastic turnout this time. And you guys can look for me next Sunday at 7 p.m. Pending anything that comes up, just expect me to be here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday. Hot Lisa, bye. All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.